What'd you write for your character's backstory?
I don't write backstories. Literally every campaign we've ever played, I don't write a backstory because I like look at it and I'm like, okay, I'm gonna make this character really, really cool, and then I panic because I can't think of anything, and I'm like, no backstory for you.
The DM's always like, well, what do you want your character to be? Well, I don't know what your world is.
Right, like, I don't know until I'm in it. I have to, like...
And of course the answer is always like, well, then tell me what you want, and I'll tell you, well, I don't know what I want. What can I be?
Right. And also, like, what is my character going to be interacting with that I have to decide how they're going to choose and things? Like, I feel like I gotta, like, do it in the moment. I can't create a whole backstory and write this whole thing about, like, what my character did and how they're going to act and know how they're going to react in every situation, like, before I know what's going on.
And, like, the big thing for me is, like, if I write, like, a hardened, angry person, and then, like, it's a cakewalk, the world is essentially the Shire from Lord of the Rings. It's like, okay, there's no reason for my character to be like that. But then if I write, like, a cute little pansy muffin cinnamon roll, and it's, like, a hardened life, like, oh, wow, that's a dumb character.
Yeah, it's hard. It's without knowing the world, I feel like it's hard for me to, like, decide my character's values and, like, what they would choose and all that kind of stuff.
And yeah, no, that's a really good point. And one thing that I think everybody runs into, even if it's yourself or someone else in your group, the phrase, oh, my character would do it, and it doesn't quite make sense. And it's really interesting because, like, I can get their point of view depending on the situation, and then I can also get, well, would your character really do that? With a pacifist route, that's a very common, there's at least one per group, it seems, almost, where you have all these murder hobos, and then you have that one character who's like, do we really have to kill everybody?
Yeah, and that's kind of the dynamic that your character's in our current campaign. And it kind of started out that, like, my character was the like, complete jerk of the campain or party, and she was just kind of like, I don't really care who dies, like, I'm not really loyal to anyone, I have no, like, connections to things, and, like, your character is much more like, let's talk to people, let's reason with people, let's get as much information as we can, and my character's like, nah, I don't care, like, let's just kill them.
It's so funny, though, because, like, my character isn't, like, a good alignment, but it's hilarious that, like, in comparison, that everyone's like, well, your character's so, like, what was the word that was used? Altruistic. It's like, no, I just, if we take somebody prisoner and we can get more money for them, like, come on, guys. Like,
like, you're not necessarily lawful. You're just, like, less evil, I guess, than the rest of the party. And I wouldn't even call us evil because our general trends are, like, toward good things. We're just kind of, let's just get to an end to a means kind of situation, like, because we're not just like, let's kill innocent people.
Are you sure?
I mean, at least from the character's perspective. So us as the players, we are not sure who's the good guys and who's the bad guys. But from our characters' perspectives, we think we're going after the bad guys. So, or the guys that are, like, causing chaos in the world. And even though we may not care about the ultimate goal, they're getting in our way in the short term. So, like, we're like, yeah, let's take care of this. So I don't even think we're totally evil. We're just, like, blunt or, like, get to the point or what. And your character is like, well, let's figure some things out. Like, let's get more information.
Let's work this to our benefit. Let's get as many resources out of this as possible.
Yeah, right. And, like, slowly over time, I feel like the group has just gone more towards, I'm going to call it my side, but wasn't like me versus you, but like the characters have become more evil and, like, care less about getting any information, and your character is like, guys, wait, guys, stop, like, the info we could get. And me as a player, I'm like, yes, we should listen to her, but when I'm playing in character, I can't be like, yeah, okay, she's probably right, because my character wouldn't do that.
Yeah, and I guess it's, like, group dynamics like that make D&D fun when you can resolve them, but it can actually sometimes make it almost frustrating, because, like, with my first character with this group,
Oh yeah, your first character was a tough fit.
I put a lot into the backstory and everything was awesome. And so my character died like first interaction, first anything. She was a celestial elf, I believe. And she was the one where you're like the different elements depending on what the weather is. And it was really cool. I did a backstory and everything. But like I didn't line up with the group well, and then after she died, and then her patron because she was a warlock, her patron brought her back, and it made sense. But the way the group was aligned, there was absolutely no way that I could keep playing her because nobody was trusting her, and I was like, great, I have to make another character, so I did that. And now that this character is, and it's really funny because it's not a good character. It's not a character that's trying to like be like, guys, let's not kill everybody. It's like, let's make some choices, guys. Like, makes some sense.
Yeah.
And so now I'm kind of running into a similar thing with this character, the Tabaxi Rogue, and it's like, I don't want to make a third character just because the party dynamic's garbage for my characters.
Right.
And...
Well, and I've constantly thought about this too, like, and do you remember the session that, I forget what like quest we were going on or anything, but we were out on a quest and the like option came up to bring a cleric with us or not bring a cleric with us. And my character had spoken up at the time saying like, no, like I don't trust other people, I don't want this cleric coming with us. And everyone in the group just kind of was like, okay, we won't bring the cleric. And then like me, like as a player was like, no, like no one in this party can heal, we should bring this cleric.
And it's super rough because, yeah, you do a lot of RP, and you, like, do the heaviest RP in the group.
Yeah.
Role-playing. And I think since you do the heaviest RP, people take that as active, like, this is what we should be doing.
So after that session, I was like, guys, like, just because my character says we shouldn't do something doesn't mean we shouldn't do it. I'm, like, sometimes I'm just saying that because that's what my character would say in that situation. So it is a hard dynamic, and because I've been thinking about your character a lot, like your character is the character that's going to get us the information we need. And
no one's sharing anything with Al. You guys made a group. Everybody else in the party made their own group, and they're sharing things with each other, and like me out of character knows that I'm not supposed to be there, so I don't take notes and listen. Like, I'm trying to have my willing suspension of disbelief as I play him, that he would hang out with this group, because we're playing a group game.
But yeah, sometimes I'm like in my head, I'm like hoping like the group will be like, no, like listen to Al. Maybe Al's making a point. Like my character is not listening to Al. I mean, me, Jackie is listening to Al, but like,
no, they won't do that.
I know that's the hard part. My character is not necessarily like herself first, but definitely doesn't trust people, which makes the group dynamic strange. But I try to play it with balance. Like I can't be like, no, I'm gonna go off on my own because that's what my character would do, because that just doesn't work for the game. But so within reason, I try and find a balance. I think that's where our group like struggles, like maybe trying to find a balance between like what your character would do and what works in the campaign,
and what makes it like a reciprocal social game. I've been told there's a lot of really good resources online. There's a bunch of really great D&D YouTube channels. Maybe we'll do some research and link them below. That would be the really responsible thing to do. But they...
Adulting.
But there's some really good channels for everything from DMing in hard situations to actually playing your characters. And like, it sounds like basic interpersonal interaction, but it's really neat how these people kind of go into having that duality of yourself as a player having fun and you respecting your character's alignment. So it's really neat. Oh, that and respecting your group in the game, your rogues and your sorcerers and your dwarves,
really cool.
Respecting them as a group, and then also respecting like your group as a group, which is really cool. I've been playing a lot of D&D because I play with two different groups, their group and then a different group, and like between the two, especially the one that meets a little bit more often, like it's gotten me more used to like get socially talking out of situations I wouldn't have gotten into normally. I don't do a lot of murder in real life. Maybe not.
You don't?
Don't worry about
How do you even have fun?
Real life, I avoid conflict like the plague. That's my mechanism to conflict resolution. Don't have the conflict to begin with. But then when you're in conflict, guess what? You have no experience to get out of that.
You don't know what to do.
That's where D&D comes in. You have to talk yourself out of being murdered.
Practicing real life skills in D&D.
Real life skills?
When it doesn't actually matter. And then when you get out in real life and you like are approached with some sort of weird conflict, you're like, well, in D&D last week, I was able to talk myself out of this situation.
I know what to do, guys.
Yeah.
I know what to do.
I have high constitution.
Does anybody have these spell components? But yeah, no.
I left my D20 at home. How will I know?
I leveled up. I need my...
Do I succeed or not? I don't know.
Yelling at the air. DM!
Help!
What skill roll do I do?
Secretly, everyone's higher power is actually just a DM of real life D&D.
I've definitely been in situations with my character where it's either my turn in the initiative in the combat order, and I don't entirely know what I can perform as actions. Like I would, as a person in that situation, would do something, but does it take up an action space? And technically, I believe each turn is 6 seconds.
Yeah, so when I built my sorcerer in this campaign, I liked the fact that it was just like, pick a spell and do it kind of combat. And because I was super struggling with like too many different steps in the combat phase and like learning how to play.
But I was actually going more in a direction of like if you want to ask someone in the room a question or if you want to search for something, because a lot of what I would do like in playing a video game where you see everything is I would make choices as I go, and I am not necessarily like, oh, let's loot this desk, Fallout reference. But if I'm in a D&D game and it's my turn in the initiative, you kind of get stuck, at least I do, in the mindset of, okay, what attacks can I do?
Yeah.
Does someone need to be healed? Does someone...
That's true.
What direction should we be moving in?
Yeah, we get kind of on this, like, defeat the enemies, like, blinded tunnel vision. And
oh, yeah. And, like, a thing that gets me is whenever I remember, oh, right, you can ask dialogue. Well, I don't know if this is for everybody, if this is how 5e plays, but in our group, you can have one line of dialogue in each turn.
Yeah.
And if you haven't picked up already, our group doesn't necessarily get all the details before we go into a situation.
No.
So when we are in a situation with like a brand new weird like opponent, adversary that's just introduced a whole new group like in the world, like my character, when I remember I can do this, will ask questions. Who are you? What are you doing?
It's tough, like, to find the balance between, like, you as the player and you as your character, and, like, you as the friend group and your character in the party, and how all of that's going to interact. You need a good fireball thrown in a kitchen? I'm on it.
She's got you.
We open the door and it's a kitchen, and our DM is like, okay, if you want to do anything right now, do it, or I'm going to roll gonna make you guys roll initiative. And I was like, fireball. And it was a kitchen, so naturally it exploded.
A kitchen full of people. It wasn't just a kitchen.
Because we're not just like, let's kill innocent people.
Yeah, it was full of enemies.
Panic fireball, you know.
Fireball. Naturally.
As you do.
And then they did not.
Yeah, and then they did not.
They were extra crispy.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I think that's actually what the DM said. Extra crispy.
He does like them first. So if you are as equally perplexed about social interactions, especially in high fantasy as we are, let us know your most awkward D&D interaction down in the comments. We'd love to feel better about ourselves.
Yes. And don't forget to like this video and subscribe if you want to talk about more fun, nerdy topics with us. Thank you so much for watching, and we'll catch you next time.
Bye. That sounded like danger.
It's the heat.
Oh. No, it's a tree outside. Oh.
It sounded like those kicking on this room we're in has like ancient floorboard heaters.
Yeah, no, it's a thing scratching the window.
That's creepy AF.
Yeah.
I don't like it.
I don't like it either.
Oh.
It's moving a lot.
If we get murdered, this is video proof of us getting murdered.
Watch, they've just been out there like they were gonna murder us like half an hour ago. And they're like, this could be interesting. Let's see where this goes.